Welcome back to ShubhCode. Today is episode 23 of the Apex interview question series. Topic: Apex Cursors Masterclass, process millions of records without batch Apex. Senior Salesforce Apex interview Q&A episode 2/3. These are the questions that real interviewers at top Salesforce firms ask. Let's go. Here are the questions we're answering today. What are Apex cursors and why use them? Then, Apex cursors versus Database.getQueryLocator. Then, code implementation in Queueable Apex. Then, governor limits, TTL and architectural pitfalls. Stay for the last one, it's the most important. Let me explain this simply. Senior Salesforce Apex interview Q&A episode 23. When processing high-volume datasets in Salesforce Apex, standard SOQL queries hit heap limits quickly because all results load into memory at once. Traditionally, developers relied on batch Apex with query locators to process records in chunks, but batch Apex carries heavy queue overhead and rigid orchestration. Apex cursors solve this by offering a lightweight, stateless mechanism to navigate query results in memory-safe windows. You initialize a cursor using database, cursor C equals Database.createCursor, select ID, name from account, and fetch slices dynamically. This gives developers granular control over large record processing directly inside Queueable Apex. In interview settings, candidate confusion between query locators and Apex cursors is common. Database.getQueryLocator is strictly tied to batch Apex execution, allowing up to 50 million records to be iterated statefully across batch execute invocations. In contrast, Apex cursors can be created anywhere in Apex, including queuables, REST APIs, or synchronous transactions. While query locators automatically chunk records into batch execution scopes, Apex cursors require manual offset fetching like list account chunk equals c.fetch, 0, 200. Cursors are ideal when you need flexible, dynamic windowing without the rigid batch lifecycle. Let's examine how you instantiate and read data from an Apex cursor in code. You create a cursor instance by passing a SOQL query string into Database.createCursor, SOQL query. Once instantiated, you retrieve specific chunks using cursor.fetch, offset, count, where offset specifies the starting row index and count determines the batch size. For example, writing list contact batch equals mycursor.fetch, 500, 100, retrieves records 501 through 600 without pulling the previous 500 into Apex memory. This fetch operation is extremely performant and directly avoids heap limit exceptions during large calculations. The most powerful pattern for Apex cursors is pairing them with Queueable Apex to process large datasets asynchronously. You store the cursor object or offset state inside your Queueable class variables across executions. In the execute method, you fetch a chunk like list opportunity scope equals cursor.fetch, current index, 200, and process it. After handling the chunk, if current index plus 200 is less than cursor.getNumberRecords, you enqueue a new queuable passing the updated index. This stateless pattern avoids the 50,000 SOQL row governor limit per transaction while bypassing batch Apex restrictions. Understanding cursor lifecycle limits is crucial to answering senior interview questions correctly. Apex cursors exist within a specific cursor context and have a strict time-to-live limit, expiring automatically after 2 hours or when explicitly released. A single transaction can open up to 10 cursors, and the total aggregate query result set size across cursors is capped by Salesforce system limits. If you attempt to call c.fetch, 0, 50, on an expired cursor, Apex throws a system.cursor exception. Always handle missing or expired cursor scenarios gracefully by reinstantiating the underlying query if necessary. A major gotcha with Apex cursors is record mutability during long-running cursor operations. Unlike batch Apex query locators which maintain a stable snapshot of data, Apex cursors reflect live database changes as records are inserted, updated, or deleted. If a background process updates or deletes records matching your cursor query while you iterate, row offsets can shift unexpectedly. For instance, deleting record 10 causes record 11 to move to index 10, leading to potential duplicate processing or missed records when calling cursor.fetch, offset, count. To mitigate this, filter records by stable identifiers or timestamp ranges. When building enterprise integrations or background processors with cursors, robust error handling is required. Always wrap cursor fetch invocations inside try-catch blocks specifically targeting cursor exception. If an exception occurs, record the failure using custom logging frameworks or transaction finalizers before retrying. You can verify remaining rows using integer total equals cursor.getNumberRecords, prior to fetching to avoid out-of-bounds index errors. For example, write if, offset cursor.getNumberRecords, list guessObject, rows equals cursor.fetch, offset, batch size, to guarantee safe execution across variable dataset sizes. To round out your interview answer, provide the interviewer with a clear architectural decision framework. Choose Apex cursors over Batch Apex when you need fast, stateless processing inside Queueable Apex with custom chunk sizes. Cursors are ideal for high-concurrency event-driven workloads, REST API pagination, or lightweight background tasks that outgrow standard SOQL limits. However, stick to traditional Batch Apex if your job requires stateful execution via Database.Stateful, complex multipass processing, or native Salesforce platform monitoring features. Demonstrating this architectural clarity proves you are ready for senior-level engineering roles. Quick recap before you go. Apex cursors enable stateless pagination across large datasets without hitting Apex heap limits. Use cursor.fetch, offset, count, inside Queueable Apex to process custom chunk sizes flexibly. Apex cursors expire after 2 hours, TTL, and reflect live database state, requiring defensive error handling. Choose cursors for flexible async processing, and Batch Apex when native UI tracking or Database.Stateful is needed. These answers will set you apart in your next Salesforce interview. Like this video if it helped. It takes 2 seconds and helps the channel a lot. Next up, Apex Interview Questions EP24, Platform Cache Architecture and Advanced Session Caching. See you tomorrow.